Welcome back to the Arise interview, a rather fraught edition where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Anya-Golduna. She's on a path to bright musical future. That's the conclusion of her teachers, her contemporaries, and most people who've watched the young and talented Nena J, real name Jordan Nena Ibekwe, born in 2009 at Festac Town in Lagos, Nigeria. What got her that designation was performances like this, taking place in school, at sports events, and at music festivals in America. She's played everything from her own compositions to some of her favorite artists, including James Brown, Lionel Richie, and Ed Sheeran. Her parents say she started singing at the age of just 1 in Lagos, but her talents really blossomed after the family moved to the US when she was 3. And by the age of 9, she'd written her first song, part of an album that's due out this year. Well, in a moment, we'll cross to South Carolina to speak to the remarkable 11-year-old singer, songwriter, and pianist Nena J herself. But first, here she is in performance.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, and the land of the free, and the
amazing little girl who has such a big, magnificent, marvelous voice. It was sent in by her principal, so somehow the principal's name got into the script instead of the little girl's name. She deserves her shining moment in all her full glory. So let me make sure we got it right. The principal, the school, by the way, is Annie Burnside Elementary. The principal is Felicia Richardson, and the student's name is Jordan Ibekwe, I believe it is. I hope that's right, Jordan. But sweet Jordan, she has a gift and a talent. Let's take a listen.
Comes a time when we hear the certain call, when love must come together now. There are people dying. Oh, it's time we lend a hand to life, 'cause it's the greatest gift of all.
That's the child prodigy Nena J, and I'm delighted to say that the singer, songwriter, pianist prodigy Nena J joins me now from Columbia, South Carolina, with her dad Emmanuel. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for joining us. I know it's early in the morning where you are, so we appreciate the scramble to sort of get things ready earlier. Really impressive stuff, Nena. I mean, obviously you've heard this lots of times, I'm sure, but let's start by just you telling us more about how you got into playing and singing music. You're still so young and yet you've become very good at it. How did that happen?
Well, for a very young I was into music. I loved performing in front of people, and I love writing songs, motivational, inspiring. And I think music is just a way to make people happy and to change their mood. And I want to keep doing that for the rest of my life.
Well, that answers a lot of questions, because I was going to ask you at one point what you want to do when you eventually grow up. You said you like to give people joy through music. And is that what gives you joy, or does the music in itself give you a lot of pleasure?
Well, I think it's both. I think the music gives me joy. When I see people being happy about my music, I think I'm very happy.
And so, I mean, when you say you want to continue with music, do you know which aspect of music? Because obviously at the moment, I mean, you're a songwriter, you're a singer, you're a piano player, you've been recognized, I mean, on television, you performed at stadiums, that sort of thing. Do you know which aspect of music you want to continue with, or you want to keep all of them together as you get older?
I think I want to be mainly focused on pop because I like writing music that is motivational, and my songs are more of pop.
And let me just bring your dad in there, who's very dutifully sitting down next to you. I was reading, Emmanuel, that she first started performing at the age of 1. That's quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yes, it is. She when she was I think when she was 1, it's like everybody around knew she would be a singer because she will hum music, she will hum nursery rhymes and all that, you know, and we just knew she would be a singer.
And of course, at that time, when she was 1, you yourself were living in America, from what I understand, trying to get the legal papers all sorted so you could bring them over 2 years later.
That's right, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's return to Nena J, who's really the focus of this chat. I guess what makes people like you, Nena, exceptional is that mix of singing and songwriting and piano playing all at the same time. I mean, yet you make it look so easy. Is that because you're really enjoying it, or does it just come naturally to you? Obviously, I mean, you would have taken lots of lessons, I imagine.
Yes, I take piano classes and singing classes. And I naturally write songs. I enjoy writing songs.
We'll do. We'll come back to you in a minute, but let's listen to another one of your songs. I think this one is your rendition of James Brown's "It's a Man's World," which is a really extraordinary, I mean, rendition. Let's take a listen.
This is a man's world, but don't mean nothing. Nothing, no one little thing without a woman or a girl.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's a lot better than the audio lines we've been having all day on this particular program. It's not our fault, it's the internet on the other side of the Mason-Dixon line, if you like. But of course, still with me, Nena J, the singer, songwriter, pianist, Prodigy, as well as her father, Emmanuel. They're talking to me from Columbia, South Carolina. What does it feel like when you see yourself? I mean, for us, it's an absolutely amazing thing watching that performance. But I mean, what does it feel like seeing yourself in performance and hearing all these people? I was entranced watching you at the stadium. I mean, so many people there, and yet you were just so confident and belting it out. What does that feel like when you watch yourself there?
Well, when I watch myself, I feel very excited because this is my first time seeing myself on national television. And I feel very uplifting and happy because it was my dream to be on front of television.
And I mean, what was the occasion? Because I know that was some kind of a sporting event that you were singing the national anthem. You were sort of introducing or opening the event. I mean, what was that particular event?
It was for the Fireflies baseball game in the area right there.
I mean, obviously you're singing, because I mean the sound from the crowd was absolutely enormous. I mean, there must have been a lot of people there. Did you get nervous? I mean, standing in front of them with so many people listening to you and watching you live?
Well, I'm nervous before I start singing. But when I do start singing, then I'm not as nervous as before.
Right. So that kind of, I mean, I suppose that's the same thing with a lot of people who are engaged in a public performance. I get nervous myself, particularly when the sound system doesn't work quite well. I start to fret and think, oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to replace it? But I mean, you seem so calm. And I mean, the most important thing is that your voice remains steady and confident. I mean, how do you prepare for something like that? Do you worry that your voice might fail, or that, you may not be able to hit that high note?
Well, it all comes with practice. Because if I practice and I keep practicing, then my voice will not fail. And sometimes I do think about my voice cracking. But before I do sing, I really start practicing before the event.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, we're glad that your voice didn't crack, because, I mean, that's one of the reasons you're here. That professional performance at the very tender age of 11, which I believe is what you are now. Stay with us, Nena J, and of course your father, Emmanuel. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the remarkably talented 11-year-old singer, songwriter and pianist Nena J. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Enyekulu, and my guest is the Nigerian-American Nena J, who at the age of 11 is already an accomplished singer, songwriter, and pianist, performing to great applause at schools, sporting events, and music festivals in the US. She started singing at just 1, and by the age of 5, she was hitting the high notes, and of course accompanying her singing with piano playing. And this year, her first full album is due to be released, which is all very special indeed, because she's just 11 and has managed at that tender age to focus her passions, doing so almost effortlessly and with an incredible ear for music. Such rare talent emerging out of Nigeria, blossoming into a real star after she moved to the US at the age of 3. Imagine how many more like her are lurking in the shadows in Nigeria, waiting for someone to shine a light in their direction. Well, in a moment, we'll speak some more to Nena J. But first, here's some more of her in performance. That was just brilliant, wasn't it? And the effulgent child prodigy, Nena J, is still with me from South Carolina, along with her father, Emmanuel. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Let's talk about your songwriting. I'm told that you wrote a song at the age of 9. What is it about? I have to admit I haven't heard it yet, but then I guess you haven't released it yet, have you?
No, I haven't released the album, but the song that I wrote at 9 was called Smile. It's talking about when you're having troubles in your life, you shouldn't feel down and you shouldn't give up on the hope that you have. You should keep going and try and get it so you succeed.
Well, that's very nice. I mean, that shows a very considerate side of you, and the fact that obviously you care about other people. And I'd love to hear that song when you eventually put it out for public consumption. And is that going to be in your new album? Because I understand it's due out this year, the whole album.
Well, the will come after the old album because we haven't released the old album yet.
When do you plan to release the album then?
During the summer or between this month or the few months coming ahead.
Right. And what do you do when you aren't playing the piano or singing or writing songs? I mean, I know obviously you go to school, but what do you and your friends do?
Well, I really don't have as much friends, but I do study. I do like reading, and I like doing other things instead of sitting down because I don't like sitting in one place all the time.
And you said you study a lot. I mean, does your father stand over your shoulder saying, have you done your homework? Which is a classic sort of Nigerian parent, you know. Not only are you going to be a musician, you're going to be the highest achiever in the class. And you're going to be a lawyer as well as a doctor. And by the way, we're interested in engineering as well.
Yes, I wanted to do computer automation, and I wanted to become a neuroscientist to work on the brain. Those are my other dreams too.
Well, that sounds very, very interesting. It sounds, I was going to say, it certainly sounds like you've got Nigerian parents. But let's return to the music, which is what drew us to you. What kind of music do you yourself really like? Is it mostly pop or R&B, or do you also like things like classical music or rock or Nigerian Afro beats and so on?
I like a lot of genres. I like Afrobeat, I like pop, I like R&B, I like many, but between pop and Afrobeat, those are my main genres.
Yeah, because I noticed that quite a lot of the songs you played were popular, but I mean, like popular oscillating between pop music, R&B and blues. For example, It's a Man's World by James Brown. I mean, that is an absolute classic, a song that I've always really liked. But obviously you left Nigeria at a very young age. Do you hope to come back here someday and perhaps perform here and write songs with Nigerian artists, or that's not in the frame at the moment?
I always want to go back home and just sing and stay there. But right now at this time, it isn't safe. But I want to go back.
Well, we're glad to hear that, because we would certainly be very glad to have you back. And are there other parts of the entertainment industry that you're interested in? For instance, television or movies, theatre, that sort of thing, dance? Would you like to score films, like play the soundtrack and all of that?
Well, I don't do dancing because I don't like dancing. I don't like sports, or I like to do my own things because I like reading and stuff.
Right. So you're much more, if you pardon my saying so, much more kind of contemplative than someone who is extroverted, which is great, because that's what I suppose gives you the capacity to write such brilliant music. But I want to thank you very much indeed, Nena J, along with your father Emmanuel, for joining us today and for letting us learn a little bit about you. And I wish you all the very best as you go forward in your musical and very impressive musical endeavors. Nena J there talking to me from South Carolina, along with her father Emmanuel. That's it for this edition of The Arise Interview. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, Trinidad and Tobago, and South Carolina in America. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.